Hello, welcome to this video. In this one, we're going to talk about academic referencing. So if you're in the world of higher education, you might have been informed that referencing is a big part of submitting papers, assignments, briefs, whatever you do in your line of education. And I'm going to show you and take you through how I cite my sources. At Deakin University, there's a particular citation style that is to be followed called Deakin Howard style. And there are a few ways to do this. So you could do manually. I really hope you're not. Or you could do one of the many apps or websites or other sources. Or in short, it's called reference managers. So I started out with something called Cite This For Me, then I went to Zotero, then EndNote, then finally I landed on Mendeley, which is what I'm going to show you today. Now, this process is very easy, and if you're someone who, rushes in at the last minute trying to desperately put in all your references, make sure your sources are cited properly, and you're also trying to hit the deadline, or maybe you've just missed it, this can help you save a bit of time and plan better for the next assignment, and hopefully it helps you too. A little caveat is that I don't trust just this one source. There are multiple reference managers on the internet. You can find whichever one, and I have tried 3 others before I moved into this, and I really find myself comfortable working in this process. So I'm about to show that to you. Maybe something else might work for you. The key is most of the sources that I cite are journal articles, particularly peer-reviewed journal articles, and they have something called a DOI, a digital object identifier. So that's what plugs into Mendeley really well, and it helps fasten the process that I'm trying to accomplish in getting my assignments out the window. With that said, even if there is, there's no DOI, and for a lot of my sources, they aren't in DOI and I have to enter manually, it still works really well. And I'll explain why in the screen recording going ahead, but there's one very important thing that I need to do before I can, go ahead. This one. So let's get into it. Say, suppose you were looking at glass and you wanted to research and write a paper about glass and say sustainability, which is what I'm doing. I've kind of compiled a Chrome bookmarks tab full of papers that I want to reference right now. So just for this, I'm just going to open all 51 pages. So and I'll show you a little bit of how I would reference it. Just before we go into this, I mentioned that there are a couple of referencing software. The one I'm going to show you today is Mendeley, and it looks like this. If we have to do this manually. So copy the title, author. This is a part that I'm not really a fan of, because the normal way of writing the author names is last name, comma, first name, but you don't really type your name that way. So let me just go ahead and fill this in. And just to clarify, this is what EndNote was like for me. Every single paper that I had to reference, I had to enter all these details manually, one by one. That's it. So journal. What journal is this? Let's just leave that for now. When was this published? 2022. I don't know what volume this is. More. Volume 30, issue 3. November is 9, day 5th. Abstract. add entry. So I'm going to put in a timestamp with me talking. So that's one option. I'm not sure if it'll let me duplicate an entry. So let's see, add new, add reference manually, identifier, look up metadata, add entry. So you can see the time difference between doing everything manual and doing everything the smart way. So this is something that really helps with time management. Let's do another one. Add reference manually. Let's do a couple more before it just gets too mundane for this video. I don't want to go through all of these. As you can imagine, I already have a file with all of these references put, and that's how I learned, and I'm able to show this to you. But see, this is a good one. It filled in most of the information other than day and abstract. So let's see if we can fill that in. Abstract is easy, just copy and paste, add entry. So if you have multiple websites, and I hope you're referencing correctly, this is a very easy way to do this. Now we have 1, 2, 3. Let's do one more reference before I show you how to take this into Word, because if you're familiar with this process, putting your references into a reference manager like Mendeley is one half of the process. Okay, this is interesting. Sorry, I'll get back to the point I was trying to make. Metadata not available. Please try another identifier. And that happened because I see what the problem is. Over here, if you can see what's grayed out, I've copied all the text except the 2 at the very last. And that's an incomplete DOI, which reads as a DOI that does not exist. So you have to be very careful with this, but thankfully that's the only step in the process that you have to be careful with. But let's see how you can import these references into the document that you're typing. Now, I use Microsoft Word, and I'm guessing a lot of people do too. Now, this is, say, my first chapter, Introduction to Class. And if you don't know about lorem ipsum, it's a placeholder text that a lot of graphics designers use that we learned about in uni. Now, if in the same tab, references, I go into Mendeley's site, go to Mendeley web directory, refresh this add-in, because if you remember at the start of this video, the Mendeley reference manager had no references in it. So this was empty. Now it's not empty. So you have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 of them have been added here. Say this is your subject, this is your paragraph, and you want to insert a reference here. So you just go insert citation. That's it. Now I've already put in my Deakin University Harvard style because that's what's required at Deakin. But if you want to change to a different style, they have loads over here that you can use. So you can see that the citation is in. The formatting wasn't really great, but it's fine. In this one, say at the end of this paragraph, you want to add in 1 and 2 references. Sometimes you can take multiple references into a single point that you're trying to make. So you can say insert 2 citations and it will fill it up. So you don't have to manually cite this. We inserted 3 references, 2 over here and 1 over here, even though we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 references in our reference manager. And sometimes it might come to that. You might have accumulated more references than what's actually needed. So at the end of every subject, you can call this references, you can call this bibliography, whatever you want to call it. All you need to do is to insert your full text of bibliography is just say go, insert bibliography. Continue. That's it. Now, I will say this isn't perfectly formatted, but that's about it. You have 3 references over here, you got your bibliography. Let's go back and add the 4th one. I think this was the one that we did. So you even know out of 4 of these, 1, 2, these 3 have the cited mark over there. This one doesn't, so let's insert the citation. So it already has this one. And bibliography is updated. That's it. You have the source, put it into Mendeley Reference Manager, put that into your template, insert your in-text citation. So every time you add a reference, this is what you need to do. You have experimental investigation, that's fine. What's the DOI? Yep, that's the DOI. You go into reference manager, add new, add reference manually. Now this is important because it rarely is the case that you import all your references and then start writing your article, because it's a continuous non-linear process in most people. So you have your new reference, but if you go back to Word, this really isn't reflected. All you need to do is click outside and say reload. And this, as you can see, also updates your bibliography. So I'd recommend that you do your bibliography as the very last thing, because all you need to do is go insert bibliography and then format it. You don't need to keep doing it over and over again. This one is what we just, put in as a reference. Let's see if we can, let's insert it somewhere over here. Insert citation. That's done. Bibliography is updated. So that was my process working with Mendeley and citing my references. As you know, this is not the only way. I'll put in links to download the others if I can find them. Please try a couple. If this really works for you, please let me know. If not, if I'm doing something else, let me know either way. I would really love to hear from anyone who's watching these videos, and that's about it. So I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.